record. All right, recording is started. Good morning and welcome to Sophistone Virtual Education. Like I said, my name is Stephanie Whitcomb, Regional Educator for Milbon, USA. And today we're going to be going over our entire Sophistone collection from our history and backstory to our permanent line and our demi line, our lightener, and support items. So first, I'd just like to start out just a little bit of information about Milbon. We'll keep it brief. The first thing is since Milbon's inception about 65 years ago, which again, it's been around for a long time, Milbon has been a professional only brand. So we are who we work with. We're salon professionals, and all of you are our eyes and ears in the salon. We really hold that partnership really valuable to us, and it makes our innovation process really creative as well as scientific. So to ensure that every new Milbon product yields the highest quality results, we begin our product development process live and in the field. So some of you might have actually had some of our scientists in your salon. Our scientists actually visit over 300 salons a month, talking to hairstylists to understand what the needs are. When it comes to color, that's really important. We want to understand what you're doing behind the chair, how you're using color, how you're breaking those rules, so that we can see, do we need to develop something different in order to help you with your needs? This method allows us to create products that are intentional and innovative, as well as practical for the professional. We're also a little bit of insider information. We are also a brand. We're striving with integrity, and we're always striving to do what's right. So it's no surprise that we actually earn a gold rating with EcoVadis in 2023. Do we know who EcoVadis is? EcoVadis is a renowned international rating agency that evaluates companies across four categories: environment, human rights, ethics, and sustainable procurement. So we've committed also to being carbon neutral by 2030, and we're actually 3 years ahead of schedule. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an overview of some of the cool things we don't always talk about with Milbon. We are a responsible company, again, always trying to do what's right and making sure that we're taking care of our stylists as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with our Sophistone information. All right, great. We've got that. And then let me see if I can make this into a full screen, single page, full screen. There we go. All right, cool. Okay, so Sophistone. Um, let's go over our history a little bit of how did we come up with Sophistone? See if I'm trying to move this box out of the way. There we go. Okay, so Sophie actually took us about 10 years to develop, which is really cool that they took the time, our scientists took the time to really understand the needs of hairstylists. So we worked with over 50 salons. We had 1,000 or more hair models, and we created 4,000 prototypes in order to make sure that we got it right. So our vision was born, it'll be a little over 10 years ago now, to introduce Milbon Professional Color to the United States. We were already the number one hair color brand in Japan. We were the number one professional hair care brand in all of Asia. So we really wanted to bring this to America. So our expert formulator and senior product evaluator, they led a team comprised of specialists from every background, and the development process started to take place both in and out of our R&D headquarters. And this involved research within salon as well as a multitude of textures of hair and color to create Sophistone specifically for the American market. We collaborated with over 50 salons throughout the US during each stage, everything from testing prototypes down to packaging. And this helped us identify in what ways that we could improve the performance of our product that can really effectively cater to the diverse and ever-growing needs of the American market. We use color and lightener on over 1,000 hair models across the course of 2 years during Sophistone's development. and tested, like I said, about 4,000 prototypes to ensure that it could perform to our highest expectation. This is what we're going to call Milbon quality. So we make sure that everything is high quality and it has predictable results. So, Sophistone, what does the name mean? The name Sophistone means sophisticated science, exquisite tones. So, in the Japanese language, they like to take words and squish them down into really cute little nicknames that make them more familiar and easy to remember. So, Sophistone is sophisticated science, exquisite tone. So, with over 30 years of experience in producing high quality professional color in Japan, we decided to expand our knowledge and expertise to produce an elevated formulation specifically designed to meet the demands of a diverse global market, which is the United States of America. So, Sophie Stone embraces Milbon's focus on healthy hair foundation while inspiring creativity through a streamlined collection. I like to call our collections an artist's collection. You can create anything that you need or want out of the collection, but it is streamlined so that you can reduce inventory, reduce space, and also it's going to be more environmentally friendly. So, utilizing our advanced technologies and conditioning formula, the collection imparts captivating colors with a reflective shine. Okay, so let's get into our shades and the system that we use with Sophistone. First thing I want to have you guys look at is our color wheel. So if you have not seen this before, there's a few things I'd like to point out that are a little different, specific to our Milbon brand, maybe different than other brands you've used in the past. So our neutral sits at the center. And then we do have two different kinds of tones that you don't always see in color lines. We have beige, which is a BE, and then we have a BR, which actually stands for brown. It's not a brown red, it's actually brown. These are sitting kind of where they live. So a beige has a little bit more of a yellow and some green in there. The BR for brown is a little bit more on the red orange side underneath that neutral. And then over here we have an M, which is a matte that has a green undertone. And then GA is out here. GA is a gray ash, so it does have a blue support and blue gray. So these are a little bit unique to Milbon, and we'll get into what those colors look like here shortly. Numbering and lettering. So Milbon tries to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to convert from a different line or use Milbon alongside another line or however you want to look at it. So Sophie Stone Color showcases the number and the lettering system to represent international and American naming systems. So the international usually uses numbers, and in America, we tend to use a lot more letters, so we have both for you. So when you're taking a look at this, obviously your first number is going to be the level. So this one is a level 7 all the way down. Then we have our slash, and then we're going to have a first number. That is going to be the primary tone, and the second number is the depth or secondary tone. In our lettering system, it's very similar. So we have the number, which will be the letter. Then we have the first letter, which is your primary tone, and then the second letter, which is going to be your depth or your secondary tone. So again, very easy for you to come off of a European or American color line and start using Milbon with this system that you're familiar with. Optimized shades. So Sophie Stone Color boasts an innovative combination of dominant colors for depositing and supportive colors for controlling and canceling undesirable undertones. So this is going to be how you formulate Sophie Stone Color. You're going to be able to know exactly what is in the tube or bottle so that you know exactly what you're going to end up with. So very predictable results. So let's take a look at our natural. So our natural, again, is represented by the letter N. It is represented by a /0 in the numerical form. It is a natural, and our dominant tone in natural is actually tan. So that is another thing I want you to keep in mind that can be different than other color brands. We have tan in our natural as our dominant, and then it is supported by a green yellow that controls unwanted undertones. This makes a true neutral. It's not brown, It's not gray black, it is a tan. So it's going to allow tones that you mix with it or tones with the underlying pigment to shine through as needed, but the enhanced green and yellow is going to cancel out anything that's unwanted. Our red is represented by the letter R and a /5. This one is going to have your dominant tone as red, and then your supportive tone is going to be a violet. Now, this does not mean a red-violet color. This this color here, this violet, is actually going to support the red and allow that red to not actually become orange as it fades out or oxidizes on the hair over time. It's going to stay true to tone. Our gray ash is a GA, and this is represented numerically by a /9. Our gray ash, the dominant tone is going to be a gray, and then it is supported by gray blue. So this is going to help you cancel unwanted tones without shifting levels. This is really nice to make sure that your gray ash doesn't go muddy or doesn't go green. So again, this is our dominant and supportive tone system. And you will see here on this chart here, this is going to show you that these tones on here are going to be for every single level, every single number, every single color. So you're going to be able to take a look and say, hey, what's in the tube? I want to look at my BV, my blue violet. What's in there? Okay, so it's represented by BV. The numerical representation is a 1,6. And what's in the bottle is going to be blue supported by gray. And it's going to give you an actual written out description so that you can really get a good idea of what is actually in that tube, in that bottle, and know exactly how to mix it. So this one says gray reinforces the dominant colors, blue, violet blue, ability to cancel undertones, enabling a more predictable finish without shifting levels. This one is for demi only, so that's why it's not shifting. This is a tonal breakdown that you're looking at here. It's a mixture of our permanent and demi. In each one of our color swatch books, you're going to have a tonal breakdown in the little hidden pocket inside the swatch book, and it's going to be specific to permanent or to demi. So you'll be able to pull that right out and see this chart specific for what you're working with, and you'll be able to formulate very predictably. All right, let's go ahead and get into our permanent color specifically. So our permanent color line has 65 beautiful shades across 14 tonal groups with 4 high lift colors and 4 intensifiers. It is powered by our advanced double adhesion technology, and it has been specifically designed to deliver vibrant, long-lasting results. It has a unique form shifting technology that ensures excellent spreadability and optimal thickness for precise application. And it is reinforced with our conditioning formula that has protective lipids and a shine enhancer. So Sophistone Permanent Color locks in brilliant shine and a smooth finish to leave the hair feeling and looking healthier. I absolutely love how we can get beautiful, great coverage and beautiful shine at the same time. So let's dive into our technology. Our key technology is our intensive color delivery. This is comprised of double adhesion technology and our color molecule carriers. So what do we mean by that? So Sophistone's permanent color advanced color delivery system allows a color molecule to adhere to hair strands more effectively, delivering more vibrant, long-lasting color with exceptional coverage. So those of you who've actually tried our color, you might notice that the color's longevity is just amazing. Every client that we tried this on that has never had Sophistone color before, permanent color, the only complaint I guess they would have is when they come back, they feel like they don't necessarily need their mids and ends retouched. They're like, it looks great. I just need my roots done. So again, the hair grows, we got to do the roots, but those mids and ends, they stay vibrant and shiny. They don't go dull or brassy, which is so nice. How does that happen, right? So what's the technology? So we actually use a color molecule carrier that has two anchors. So most color molecule carriers have one anchor, and with that anchor, as you can see in the photo here,
Mhm.
this one anchor kind of adheres to the hair strand and it delivers the color to the hair, which is great. But we decided let's make that even better. So we created a double anchor on our color molecules. So these molecules are holding on with two anchors. It's like hanging on with two hands or standing on 2 feet. It's going to be much more stable and have much more longevity than just the one anchor. So this is going to make sure that you get maximum deposit, that you get great gray coverage, and that color is going to stay in the hair. You can see the benefits of this double adhesion technology through the microscopic images of the hair. So without double adhesion technology, the blue color represents the color that has been deposited into the hair, and it's there, it's right there on the outside. That's great. But with double adhesion technology, look at how much more deposit you're getting, and that's going to really affect the longevity. So it's really going to help that color stay in the hair a lot longer. So without double adhesion technology and with, you're getting a lot more deposit and then much more retention. So after 20 washes, there's quite a bit more retention with our double adhesion technology. So this is something you can count on from Milbon as part of Milbon's quality to make sure that the color has the longevity that you're looking for. The next part of the technology is our superior spreadability and control. This is actually formulated into the color and it is a technology. So form shifting technology is what it's called. And this superior product consistency is essential for delivering even saturation and precise application. This was something that Milbon artists and hairstylists had talked about wanting in their color. They want to be able to spread it and have it stay where they wanted to put it, as well as being able to smoothly spread and be even application. So our scientists came up with a smart form shifting thixotropic complex that gives these products excellent spreadability during application. So it goes from a semi-solid into more of a solid shape once it sits where you want it. So what do I mean by that? So easy spreadability with the semi-solid texture. So you can spread it through the hair. It's going to evenly um, adhere to where you want it. And then it kind of forms into a little bit more of a solid state and it's going to stay where you put it. So this picture here on the end is showing you um, with a slide in the lab, they put a dollop of color and then they stood that slide up vertically. Without the technology, the form shifting, the color actually slid right down the slide. And it didn't stay where we put it. But with that technology, it's going to stay right where we put it. This is super important for targeting certain areas, maybe for doing color on someone who has those stubborn grays that always poke up and out of the color and they're difficult to get that color to stick. This is going to help you target that and help that stick to that hair. And then lastly, for technology, we do have our conditioning formula. So this formula contains protective replenishing lipids. So these lipids act like a treatment for the hair, and it's going to restore the protective cuticle layer and seal that color in, giving it long-lasting vibrancy. So actually, we found out after using our permanent color, roughness of the cuticle was reduced by up to 60% compared to without this technology because of the protective replenishing lipids. We also have a shine enhancer, which is naturally derived and weightless. It conditions the hair for a natural looking shine and color reflection. So you can see in the photos with and without the replenishing lipids how much difference the cuticle texture is. And this is going to give your clients that silky, smooth, shiny hair that they're looking for, all just by using our permanent color. So it's really cool that all of this technology is in one tube. Okay, let's talk about mixing, right? This is what we do in our dispense. How do we mix it up? It's very simple. So our permanent color is 1-to-1 ratio, 1 part color, 1 part developer. You can use anything from 10 to 40 volume. We're going to process for 35 minutes. 40 minutes for resistant gray hair. The high lift series is going to mix a little bit differently. It is a 1:2 ratio, 1 part color, 2 parts developer. The developer that we use is going to be 30 or 40 volume, and we're going to process this for 50 minutes. Let's take a look at our artist chart. So our permanent color chart. Let me give you a little bit of a tour on how to take a look at this and understand what you're looking at. So one thing I want to point out is over here on the left-hand side, anything that is in this natural series is going to give you up to 100% gray coverage. Your levels, of course, are on the very left-hand side, 1 to 10. And then what you're going to want to note here is that there are different shades within the natural gray coverage series. So we have natural, double natural, natural gold, natural brown, and natural gray ash. This is so nice because you're able to just pick up one tube and get beautiful color as well as up to 100% gray coverage with just that one tube. So that's really, really cool. Another thing I do want to point out is our double natural series. Our double natural for Milbon is a little different than some other color lines. Yes, it is giving you that double pigment, but it is really formulated for coarse hair. Okay, so on fine to medium hair, you're going to get 100 up to 100% gray coverage with just a natural. You don't need to add your double natural for fine to normal texture hair. For that coarse hair, you very well might need that double natural. The reason is that coarse hair, that hair strand itself is going to be a lot wider and it's going to need more deposit, more color molecules to fill it in to get that coverage. So we added more color molecules into our double natural. So again, double natural is for coarse. Single natural is going to be for fine to medium texture. And then these all as well are going to be formulated for fine to medium texture as well. So if you have somebody that you're wanting to do a natural gray ash on, but they're coarse, you absolutely can add some of the double natural into that formula to get maximum coverage. Now taking a look at the rest of the chart, we have our warms, we have our cools, and then over here we have specialty, which is our high lift, as well as our intensifiers. So any of our warms or cool colors can be used by themselves to give you a fashion shade and changing the color of the hair, or you can mix in a natural to get gray coverage. You would need your formula to be at least a quarter of the formula to be a natural in order to get gray coverage with our warm or cool series. Our high lifts are really beautiful. They do gorgeous toning along with, of course, lifting to the highest levels. You can use these on level 7s and above to get a beautiful blonde, or if you're going to use them on a brunette, it's going to give you beautiful control for more of those subtle caramely highlights. So lots of creative ways to use those colors. And then we do have our intensifiers, blue, red, violet, and gray. These are beautiful to mix in with any of our permanent tones to get your own custom color. All right, let's go ahead and talk about our demi. So Sophistone Liquid Demi Color. Our demi color is comprised of 50 exquisite blonde, red, and brunette shades in an innovative design of 14 tonal groups, 4 intensifiers, and clear. It's masterly formulated, ammonia-free, deposit-only liquid gel collection has been designed to deliver consistent and predictable results, resulting in creative techniques such as glazing, refreshing, adding depth, gray blending, color correction. You can do all those things with our Sophistone Demi. So the first thing I want to introduce you to with our Demi is our technology. Our technology is called CPD, Controlled Pigment Delivery. This is a very special 2-part technology, very unique to Milbon Demi and our ammonia-free Demi. So the first part of it is chelating encapsulation. So we've heard that buzzword chelating for quite a few years now in the salon world, meaning removing metals, right? It's taking metals out of the chemical process in this case. So why are metals in our hair? Let's start with that. So copper and iron end up in the hair because of our water. So, in most American households and areas, the piping that comes into your house or into your salon is usually made of copper. That's fantastic because it has antimicrobial properties. So, it's going to keep our water clean. The problem with that is the copper does seep into the water and then it gets into our hair. And when we're doing color, it can disrupt that color service and allow that color to either process too quickly or not enough, which can give an undesirable result. So, our scientists decided to tackle this problem directly in our color formula. So, they created chelating encapsulation. So, this encapsulation, what it does is it actually takes those metal ions and it envelops them in this little bubble and takes them out of the process so that that color can actually formulate or work as predicted. So it's going to make sure that your color is very predictable. It's going to make sure that it doesn't oxidize too quickly or not enough, which is really great. We don't want to have to do redos, right? We want to be able to have predictable results. So optimal color development with chelating encapsulation. Next is going to be our neutral pH configuration. So some demi-colors are more of an alkaline, some demi-colors are more of a acidic color. Both of them have really great places where they're useful in the salon. Our color actually stays in a neutral. So we wanted it to optimally deposit and cancel undertones without any lift. So it's not going to sit too far outside of the hair. It's not going to go too far inside. It's going to stay right in that happy medium without lifting, but cancel undertones that are unwanted or enhance color that is wanted. So beautiful neutral pH. And then lastly, we do have a wonderfully conditioning formula. So this comes from our coconut oil-based lipids. This allows our demi color to actually act like a conditioner. It acts like a treatment to the hair. It's going to coat the hair with a beautiful coconut oil-based lipid that seals that cuticle and it evens out that surface. So the result is going to be smoother and more manageable hair with an iridescent reflective shine. So you can see in the photos down here, the hair with the coconut oil-based lipids has reduced that roughness for up to 60% because of that coconut oil-based lipid. So it's really nice. You're getting beautiful soft results. And when you are rinsing this color out at the shampoo bowl, you're going to be able to feel that right in your hands. Your client isn't going to have that rough texture feeling to their hair just because they're using a demi color. They'll actually be able to feel really shiny and conditioned, which is a really nice perk when you're doing color. So our demi color chart, let's go ahead and walk you through our demi color chart. We do have it broken down into naturals on the left-hand side. We have warms in the center. We have cools on the right, and then we have our specialty items off in a little tab. So let's talk about our naturals first. So our naturals, as you can see, we go from levels 3 to 9. So we have just a nice mid-range of tones. And anything that is in our natural or our beige series, you can actually use for gray blending as well as toning and other demi-color things. So we're going to talk about formulating for gray blending here in a second. So just keep that in the back of your mind. So we do have those naturals. Some of my favorites right now are the beiges and the beige mattes and even the beige gold. These are so pretty that they're giving you a different look at a natural, whether you're enhancing those beigey or gold tones, or whether you're kind of toning down redness with that matte. It's going to give you the ability to use a natural, but kind of have a little bit of a different tonality with it. So definitely play with these if you haven't. They're really unique. Then we have our warms, everything from golds and coppers and reds. And then we have our cools, everything from blue to green matte to gray ash, violet, everything that you might need. Now, again, you're going to notice I did say that our levels are 3 to 9. We don't do level 10s across the board. The reason that we don't do that, you might remember at the beginning of the presentation, I mentioned that this is an artist's line. So we want to stay smaller. We want to stay compact. We want to stay boutique-y. We don't want you to have to carry 100 million bottles in your dispense. Nobody has room for that. But we all know that you can figure out how to make a 10, right? So not that tough. What we will do is we're going to take our 9 and then we have clear. So our clear down here actually comes in a liter size bottle. So it comes in a big size bottle and you can actually mix it with any of our tones, of course. But if you're wanting to get a 10, any of our 9s, you can mix it 1 to 1 or 1 to 2, then add your developer and boom, you've got a custom 10. So it's a really easy way to make those levels that you don't see in our collection, but you don't have to carry all the individual bottles. So again, a very nice way to be more environmentally friendly as well as friendly to your space. We do have in our intensifiers, we have blue, yellow, red, and violet. These are wonderful to either add or counteract tones as needed and really get that custom color you're looking for. These also can be used by themselves with clear and developer to make kind of a custom either pastel shade or a custom gloss, something like that as well. So the opportunities really are endless. So mixing ratio. Our mixing ratio for our demi color is 1 to 1, 1 part color and 1 part processing lotion. If you are using a clear, clear is mixed into the color first. So demi color plus clear, that's one side of the ratio, and then the other is going to be your processing lotion. We process anywhere from 3 to 20 minutes. So I know that's a huge window, and we do get a lot of questions about that. So let me kind of dive into why we say 3 to 20. There's a lot of different ways that you can use our demi, and we want to give you free range to be an artist and use them as needed. So if you're processing for 3 to 5 minutes, you're flash toning. Sometimes that's important. If you're filling, doing a corrective color, you just need to flash tone, fill it in, wash it out, and then go over with something else, right? If you're pre-toning in a way before, you did a pre-lightening, you're pre-toning, and then you're putting something else on top, maybe a 3 to 5 minute tone is all you need. So you have that ability, but just know anything over that 5 minutes is for longevity, right? So we're getting longevity. So if we can process that full 15, 20 minutes, beautiful. You're going to get longevity. It's going to be exactly the color that you were looking for. The other thing that's important to note is that our demi color is not progressive, meaning after that 20-minute processing time, it's not going to get darker. So if you need to leave it on longer, it's okay. It's not going to get darker. So a 7 is a 7 is a 7, a 9 is a 9 is a 9. You don't have to worry about it getting darker as it processes. This chart down here is also in your swatch book. This is going to give you some really great tips on how to use the color and application examples as well as processing times. So again, if you're glazing, color refreshing, and adding depth, you're going to process anytime from 15 to 20 minutes to get that full impact on the hair. Gray blending, this is our unique one that I had mentioned before. So it's going to tell you exactly how to use it. Our demi, you're using a natural or a beige in order to get your gray blending. And this is the only time with any Milbon Sophistone product that you're going to use heat. So you can process under regulated heat for 20 minutes, then you're going to cool for 10 minutes, and that's how you're going to get that gray blending. It is ammonia free, so you will not get any lift at the root, but using this formula and this processing time is going to give you beautiful gray blending to the hair. So another way to use it. And then color correction, pre-filling, like I had mentioned, pre-toning, all of that, anywhere 3 to 20 minutes, depending on what you're doing. All right, I'm going to move on to our Sophistone lightener. So for Sophistone lightener, we do have Elite powder and we have Elite clay. These are so unique in the sense that both the clay and the powder lift up to 9 levels. So a lot of times with clay and open air techniques, we tend to sacrifice lift for technique. And with Sophistone, you do not have to do that. You can still get 9 levels of lift even out of your clay. So our lightener has been scientifically designed to achieve controlled lift with built-in protection. Our powder is a versatile blue powder lightener, and kaolin infused elite clay is specifically formulated to support freehand techniques. It is boosted with our exclusive PolyShield technology, and both are going to lift up to 9 levels while minimizing damage. We also have a guar gum infusion in both of the products. So the naturally derived guar gum is optimal for product consistency and ease of application. So let's talk a little bit more about the technology. So our technology in our lightener is called PolyShield. PolyShield is a built-in protection. It's in the powder. And what this does is it protects the cuticle when lifting happens. So when we are lifting color out of the hair and creating those lighter shades, the cuticle is opening up so the color molecules can disperse. So as that happens, the cuticle itself can actually get damaged, we can also put physical tension and friction on our cuticle as we're shampooing and blow drying afterwards. And that agitates the surface of the hair, which results in brittle hair and split ends. So we really wanted to address this with lightening so we have the best health of the hair while we're doing our lightening techniques. So both Elite Powder and Elite Clay are reinforced with PolyShield. What PolyShield does is it creates a protective barrier on that cuticle. So think of it as almost a netting that envelops each strand of hair and it prevents the cuticle from lifting too far. So it allows the lift to happen, but in a controlled way. This maintains the hair's integrity and allows that cuticle to seal back up when it's time, and create a beautiful, soft canvas for you to then apply color onto. So the cuticle layer is the hair's naturally protective layer, and it safeguards the internal part of the hair, which is the cortex. The cuticle also accounts for 60% of that hair's strength. So it's really important to care for the cuticle in order to have healthy hair and maintain that hair's integrity. So our benefits of PolyShield is with our Elite Powder, it's actually able to visibly reduce roughness up to 57% with that technology. And you can see in the images here how much smoother that cuticle looks with PolyShield. With our clay, it was able to visibly reduce roughness up to 52%, and you can again see the results in the photo. So this is really a game changer. If you do a lot of lightening, you're going to feel it as soon as you rinse out the lightener. That hair is going to feel really, really soft, versus being rough and damaged. So it's going to be very healthy, very soft. So how do we formulate our elite powder and our elite clay? So our mixing ratio, this is very, very important because I did talk about how these are 9 level lift lighteners. So they're very powerful lighteners. We do want them to be mixed, the powder, 1 part powder, 2 to 3 parts developer. The clay, the same, part clay, 2 to 3 parts developer. We recommend 1 to 2 for like the optimal consistency and lift, but some people like the consistency to change a little, so you could go 1 to 3. We never recommend mixing 1 to 1. That's just a little bit too much power all in one, and it's just not really good for the hair. So 1 to 2 and 1 to 3 to maintain that hair's integrity. We're going to process anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes up to 50 minutes. Do not use heat. Okay, that is a big one with this. We never want heat with our lightener. It's going to process way too quickly, and the lightener is really powerful. So no need for heat. You're going to get those 9 levels of lift without any heat at all. No problem. We do also say that it's an off-scalp application with our powder and clay. In general, that's what we recommend. However, there is some workarounds with that. We do have our wonderful scalp support oil that I'm going to go over here at the very end. That scalp support oil can be applied to the scalp, and then you can use our powder on scalp with that with 10 or 20 volume. Excuse me, 10 or 20 volume. That's going to protect the scalp, make sure you don't get any itchiness or any sensitivity to the scalp, but still allow you to do on scalp application. So I'll show you which product that is at the very end. So it is possible to do on scalp if you're using that scalp support oil. All right, here's our support item. So that scalp support oil is going to come right up here. Let's take a look at it. So first, we're going to talk about our color balancing shampoos. I hope some of you have tried this before. These are really great for pre-toning, for refreshing color, for a real quick tone if you don't have time to process somebody, but you need a little color balancing. That's exactly what these are for. So we have purple, we have blue, and we have copper. So the purple is going to cancel unwanted yellow tones. The blue is going to cancel unwanted orange, and the copper is going to actually enhance depth and add warmth to color. So this is a really nice way to enhance someone's color with just a shampoo. Hot tip on how to use these. You're going to want to apply these into your hands while wearing gloves. This is highly pigmented, and these are meant to be back bar only, not to be sold as retail. Some salons do choose to sell them as retail. That is up to you. But because they do possibly stain, they're very highly pigmented. I feel like it's the best in the professional's hands. But again, your discretion. But I would suggest wearing gloves when you're using these. And then the hot tip is going to be apply the product into your hand and then place it onto the hair without lathering it first. So you're going to want to work it through the hair and then let it sit. Give it a good 5 minutes to sit. Then you're going to massage and lather and rinse thoroughly. With that method, you're going to get max deposit. Okay, so if you're really looking to get rid of yellow tones or orange tones or really enhance that depth and warmth, we're going to apply it first throughout the hair, let it sit for 5 minutes. Then we're going to lather and rinse it out. Carbonated shampoo. This is definitely one of my favorite products as a colorist. This is very unique to Milbon. We were one of the first to come out with our microcarbonated shampoo, and carbonated skincare in general is a huge thing in the Japanese and Korean markets. The reason is because it cares for the skin so well. Those little micro bubbles just help to allow that skin to heal and balance. This is actually formulated at a 4.9 pH. So it is specifically formulated to nourish the scalp and the hair after bleach or coloring services. So it's going to be luxurious, microcarbonated foam, lifting away your chemicals and impurities. It has a beautiful pH controller, and it's going to minimize any scalp discomfort and damage from the color. So we're going to shake well, we're going to spray it into our hand, and we're going to shampoo through the hair with this. You're only going to want to use this after a permanent color or lightening service. There's no need to use it after demi because our demi is ammonia free. So there's no pH issues with that. It's a neutral pH, remember. So after permanent, after lightener, you can use our carbonated shampoo. This is also really nice. So hot tip is to use it at the nape. So put a little bit in your hand, put it at the nape, work it in. It's just going to help you shampoo out any color at the nape much faster than using a traditional shampoo. Okay, we're going to get into controller. So controller is one of our newer support items. This is kind of a game changer when it comes to bond building in the hair and keeping the hair very healthy. So controller is actually the very first advanced 4-in-1 healthcare item, I would say, for the hair. So it actually does more than bond building. It has four things that it does. And we do put controller number one directly into our formula. So either into our permanent color or into our lightener. And then controller number two is our external care, and that we're using at the shampoo bowl. Okay, so it's a two-part system. It is a bond building treatment, but it is a 4-in-1. So let's talk about what 4 things it does. Number one is it is an internal bond builder. So as we do chemical services, internal bonds are broken as part of the service, right? So we have our disulfide bonds and our peptide bonds, and both of them can become broken and damaged when we do a chemical service. So our controller can actually go in and help to reconnect and mimic both the disulfide and peptide bonds that is going to give that hair more strength and resiliency. So this is really unique to controller. This is our internal bond builder. The second part of that is going to be our external bond builder. This is where our controller number 2 comes in. What this does is there is it's called an 18 MEA lipid layer that is on the outside of our hair, on the cuticle area. What that 18 MEA lipid area does is it allows that cuticle to stay strong and to lay down and to hold moisture and just keeps the hair healthy and strong. Remember, we talked about the cuticles actually the majority of the hair strand, right? Over 60% is cuticle. So we need to take care of it in order for our hair to be able to look and feel healthy. So this external bond builder replaces and fixes that 18 MEA area. So we have both internal and external bond building inside controller. But I feel like an infomercial. But wait, there's more. There's 2 more things that this controller actually does, which makes it super unique. The first is regulated heat control. Regulated heat control is huge. This prevents unexpected and undesirable lightener overheating, thereby minimizing significant damage and breakage. Has anybody ever felt a foil packet and you felt it getting hot, right? I've even seen them smoke once in a while, which is terrible for the hair. So that causes a lot of damage. What this product does is it regulates the heat. It allows the heat to happen just enough for the process to do its thing so it won't change how your hair lightens, but it's going to taper off and not let the product get too hot. So it's going to regulate that heat to protect the hair. Pretty cool. And then one more thing, it actually uses our metal encapsulation. So remember I talked about that with our Demi and the CPD technology. We had metal encapsulation. Now we have metal encapsulation that you can add into our lightener as well as our permanent color. It is in controller. So when you add controller to your product, you're adding metal encapsulation. What this is doing is it's ensuring even, predictable lightening and depositing of permanent color. Without the technology, sometimes lightener can be splotchy, and then sometimes deposit can also be splotchy because the metals that are in the water and in the hair can cause uneven oxidation, uneven processing. Our metal encapsulation in our controller is going to make sure that that processing is going to be even and perfect. So very predictable. So again, 4-in-1, internal bond builder, external bond builder, regulated heat control, metal encapsulation, all in our controller. So I'm going to skip through. This is talking about all those bonds. Let's talk about how to with our color services. So how do we use this product, right? How do we use it? So let's say we're mixing lightener or permanent color and our developer. We're going to mix it just as we normally would. Then we're going to take our controller number 1 and you're going to add it to your lightener or permanent color and mix thoroughly. So this is going to be your recipe on how to add it in. So controller number 1 comes in a pump bottle and it is a regulated pump. 1 pump equals 1 gram. So you can either measure it on a scale or just note 1 pump equals 1 gram. So if you are using lightener in foils, okay, lighteners in foils is incubated, right? It's inside that foil, it's going to create more heat. So we're going to need to use a little bit more controller for that method. So if you have anything less than 30 grams or 1 ounce of powder, you're going to do 2 pumps or 2 grams of controller one. If you're going to do 1 to 2 ounces or 30 to 60 grams of powder, you're going to apply 4 pumps of or 4 grams of controller number one. So again, very easy to measure. The pumps are regulated. The other side is going to be showing you the usage amount for on scalp, balayage, or permanent color. So all of these are ammoniated services, right? So they're permanent services, but they're not incubated. We're not putting them in a foil. So we don't need quite as much controller because we're not as worried about the heat regulation with this. So less than 30 grams, less than 1 ounce is only 1 pump or 1 gram. 1 to 2 ounces, 30 to 60 grams is 2 pumps or 2 grams. So again, when you're learning to use this, I would probably just post this right in your dispense where you're mixing. Very easy to refer back to. Okay, so now we've got it mixed in our bowl. Our lightener or permanent color is mixed with our controller number one, and we're going to apply it just as we normally would, and we're going to process exactly like we normally would. Nothing changes. So then we're going to take them to the shampoo bowl. Once they're ready, we're going to rinse with water, but then we're going to stop. This is where it gets a little different with our controller. After rinsing with water, controller number two goes right onto the hair. Don't shampoo first. So why, right? Let's ask why. Why don't we shampoo first? Because controller number one and controller number two work together. Okay. They need to kind of connect in order for that internal and external bond thing to really do its best work, right? So
Okay,
we rinse out the
so
product with
let's go, let's
water.
go.
And
Go.
then we go ahead with our controller number two right onto the hair. So our controller number two, it feels and smells like a conditioner. So once that color product is rinsed out with water, we're going to take that controller number two and we're going to apply it and gently distribute evenly from roots to ends on any area that was colored or highlighted. So it could be the whole head, it could just be sections, whatever we did with our color. Our usage amount, again, this can be adjusted. We say anywhere from 3 to 5 pumps, depending on the length of the hair. You're going to work this through the hair really well. That hair is going to smell amazing. It's going to feel super soft. You're going to rinse out with water, and now you're going to shampoo. Okay, now you're going to shampoo. Then once you're done shampooing, move on just like you always do. You can tone, you can rinse, you can shampoo and condition, whatever. Nothing changes. So the really big changes are going to be mixing, then you apply as normal process, rinse with water, don't shampoo yet, use your controller, then rinse and shampoo. Okay. So again, post this up in your dispense if you're using controller so you have the directions. It's a fantastic product. All right, we're going to move on real quick to our service support trio. If any of you have used this, you're going to note that these are just really essential to have in your cart, color cart, or dispense. Here's that scalp support oil. Remember, I talked about that when we were talking about on scalp services. So, this scalp support oil is a protective spray infused with olive oil and it shields the scalp from irritation. So, you can,
Okay, is it
anytime
okay?
you're doing a
Do I
permanent
understand now?
color, anytime you're doing a on scalp lightening service, this is going to make sure that that scalp stays really nice and supported throughout the service without getting irritated. It does not affect how the color processes or how the lightener processes. So that's really nice. You don't have to worry about it influencing the end result. Our Face Protect cream is a really nice soft barrier cream. It has a little bit of a microcrystalline wax in it to enhance spreadability. Really great non-greasy oil and gel formula. And then our color remover has orange peel extract in it and lemon peel in it. It's going to lift away color and stains on the skin. This one I absolutely love using on my clients around their face as well as on my own hands to make sure that it removes any color that I might have gotten on my hands. And then we do have these wonderful Milbon branded items that you can have in your salon. We've got capes and we've got our aprons, balayage boards, and color bowls, and brushes, and bottles, and all the things. The big item here that I love is going to be this color cart. It is fantastic. The wheels on it, oh my God, so smooth. It moves in every direction. So if you're looking for a cart, I highly recommend our Milbon color cart. And that is the end of my presentation. I'm going to go ahead and hit the stop share really quickly. There we go. And then I'm going to actually stop our recording. So thank you again for joining us with the recording. And once I do that, then I'll go ahead and take some questions if you have them.